Nintendo Wii here, welcome back to Let's Play Retro Games, and welcome to episode 22 of Games I Got Recently. I really hope you enjoyed my tour of the London Retro Market. If you haven't seen it yet, there's a link in the description, so go and watch that. I did give away a few of the games that I picked up at the show, but now I'm going to be taking a look at all of them, and there is quite a lot, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. I think we'll start by taking a look at a few Game Boy games that I picked up. I just have to give a very quick shout out to an amazing YouTube channel called Game Boyle. He does an amazing series called Boyographic and Boy Curious. I know, quite a strange title, that one. But the show is really amazing. He goes through some really interesting games in the Game Boy's library. The first game, a game that I've been looking for a long time actually. This is the Game Boy version of Kid Icarus, called Of Myths and Monsters. Really excited to get this one. I love the Kid Icarus game on the NES and I love the one on the 3DS obviously. So it's really great to have this to finish off the Kid Icarus collection. I played it a little bit to get a bit of footage, but I really need to try and get stuck into it to really start enjoying this game. Seems really good so far, and that was 16 quid. Although it was a bit less because getting 5 Game Boy games got 10% off. So very slightly less than 16 quid, which I think is alright. The next game I got from the same store, Tetris 2. Just this game I picked up just because I needed to find one more game for the Game Boy, and they had hundreds of the original Tetris, but obviously I've already got that. But I don't have Tetris 2. I've got it on the SNES and it's really fun. I like the different style of game compared to the original Tetris, but it's nothing too exciting. So there's Tetris 2. That one's from a different one. So next up here we have Castelian, or Castelian. I've played it on the NES, so I was really interested to see how the Game Boy one compares. And it actually compares quite favourably, to be honest. Just having a look at this video, I love in these Castelian games the way that the screen spins around on the tower, and they did pull it off really well on the original Game Boy, so fairly impressed by this one. Although the game is just as hard as always. Next up, a game that I used to have, but for some reason I've lost over the years, so I just decided to pick it up again. It's not very good, but just one to add to my collection that I used to have. This is the original Wave Race. If you think this is going to be anything like Wave Race 64 or Wave Race Blue Storm on the GameCube, you'll be incredibly disappointed. This Wave Race game is nothing like them really. It's more like something like RC Pro-Am or something like that, so I wouldn't really recommend it, but for 4 quid, can't really go far wrong with that. And the last game here, a bit more expensive than the other ones, not quite as much as Myths and Monsters, but it's one that I've wanted for a long time. I can't find the exact one that it was mentioned in, but I remember hearing about this game through Action GBX, which is an amazing series of magazines that came with VHS tapes with some reviews of the games on. And the game is Toki Tori. There's a new one coming out on the Switch very soon actually, and I think it's also on the Wii, so I'm really excited to finally have the Game Boy Color version. And it is a really fun game. I love those sort of little single screen puzzle platformer style games, as I'm sure you know by now. So really happy to have this. And the last game here, another game for my seemingly never-ending Kirby collection. I must be getting to the end of it now, I must have almost all of them. This is Kirby's Block Ball. A game that I've wanted, again, for a long time. It's a very simple Kirby game. It's just a sort of spin on the Breakout style game, but it is quite fun. That one was 10 quid, but that was from a different store. I don't know whether that's a good price or not, but I really love Kirby, so getting another game for the Kirby collection is always good. 2 more Game Boy games. These ones came in the box. Wario Land 2, or I thought it was Wario Land 2. This is the Japanese one. The box is really nice, and it also has the instructions inside as well. But when I opened it up, I was sad to see that they put the wrong Wario Land game in the box. This is actually Wario Land 1. There you go, so this is Wario Land 1. Still cool to have, but not really the game that I was expecting to get, so slightly disappointed. But I'm still happy to have the Japanese version of Wario Land 2. And of course, it comes with a lovely colour instruction book as well. So really nice to add to the collection, although I should probably try and find the cart for Wario Land 2, or the box for Wario Land 1, or both. And one more game for the Game Boy, or for the Game Boy Color this time. This is Dragon Warrior 3, or Dragon Quest 3 as it's known in Japan. I've always wanted to get the Game Boy Dragon Warrior games. This one was only a £5, so really good price on this. The box is a bit battered, but it did come with the game and the instructions, which is really great, and of course, it being a Game Boy game, it has lovely colour instruction manual as well. I'd love to get the English version of it, but I think it's a lot more expensive, so I'm quite happy to have that to add to my Japanese Game Boy collection. I was just editing the footage and I realised that I missed one of the best games that I picked up at the show because I was actually playing it last night, and that is Shadow Warrior for the Game Boy. Got this one for 20, it's a fairly rare game. I've never actually played Shadow Warrior on the NES, so I can't really compare, but I am really enjoying it. And like I said, it's probably the best game that I picked up at the show. Hopefully I might even do a Let's Play of it at some point. It's really good. The music's amazing, the gameplay is really fast and fun, and I'm really enjoying it a lot. So that's all the Game Boy games out of the way. Got 2 N64 games here. One of them is very exciting and the other one isn't so exciting. I'll start with the one that isn't so exciting first. This is Aero Gauge. It's a game I heard about when the N64 was out, read a few reviews of it. Didn't seem super exciting, but for £6, just another game to add to the N64 collection. I'll give it a bit of play, but I don't expect it to live up to anything like Extreme G or F-Zero. But it's a game I've been interested in a while, so I'm glad to have it at least. And a game that I'm very excited to find, and if you watched my tour of the market, then you might have seen this one. I did pick it up and I was very shocked. So obviously I got it straight away. This is Chameleon Twist 2. I love the original Chameleon Twist. In fact, I actually did a Retro Game a Week video about it about 3 or 4 years ago now, so I'll put that in the description as well if you want to go and take a look. This game in the box is about £200, so I was incredibly surprised to find the cart only for about 20, which is really strange. I didn't know that the cart was actually so cheap, so I'd snapped this one up straight away. Really looking forward to playing it. It looks a lot faster than the original, and it's more of a platformer than a 3D adventure game, so really looking forward to trying this one out later. Now we're moving on to the SNES, and I've got 4 SNES games here. I'll start with one that I knew I was getting before the show even began. This is one that I mentioned in the games that I wanted to find at the London Retro Market. If you haven't seen that video, link in the description as well. The amazing guys, Mr. Kinkle at Hyperplay Magazine, Hyperplay RPG Magazine, wrote to me on Twitter and said he had Equinox and the box and he would do it for a tenner, but then he found the instruction manual separately and said he'd do the entire thing for 15, which is an amazing price. So thank you very much. I'm really happy to have this game, and I'm going to go and give it a play after I've finished this video. So thanks a lot, I really appreciate it. And as always, a big shout out to his magazine, Hyperplay RPG. I've got all the Hyperplay RPG magazines here. They really are a fantastic read if you like RPGs. They go into loads of depth with some of my favourite series of all time, and have introduced me to a few new ones as well. I was really happy to meet the writer of Hyperplay RPG magazine again, and I've got a little bit of footage of him talking about the magazines.
Hyperplay RPG, Blast from the Past, Retro RPG magazine, imprint only, bringing back the love of Superplay, Mean Machines game fan. Basically, if you love games, especially RPGs, you need Hyperplay RPG. Get it from hyperplayrpg.com.
So there we go, they really are fantastic, and I definitely recommend checking them out. I'll put a link in the description to the website, so definitely go and have a look. Next up on the SNES, this was one of the last games that I picked up just because I was running out of money, and I'd seen this one around quite a bit. I've seen it on a few videos and it looks fairly interesting, but I know the game itself isn't that great. So it was only £5 I think. It doesn't get the price on it, so I can't really tell, but it's Out to Lunch. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's another single screen, well, sort of scrolling puzzle platformer game. It's not great, but it is interesting, and I know there's also a version on the Game Boy which is a lot worse. So happy to have the SNES game. I gave it a little bit of a play yesterday. The controls are really slippy, but overall it's still a nice little addition to the SNES library. And now we get into the really good stuff. Here's 2 games that I've wanted for a long time. The first one here, UN Squadron. I've heard incredible things about this game. I've only gave it a little bit of a play so far, but I can definitely see why. It seems like it has a great progression system in the game. Really looking forward to playing more of this one. This is UN Squadron. And the last game here, and the most expensive game that I got at the show, I found it in the box for 100, but I thought that was too much money because I would rather get more games than spend all my money on 1 or 2. Mystical Ninja, another game that I said I wanted to find, and I was so happy to find it. £40 just for the cart, but it is in really nice condition and the game is amazing. I can't wait to play it in co-op, so I'm going to try and play it with my girlfriend one evening. I've ordered one of the wireless adapters for the Super NT so that I can use a Pro controller with it, which I can't wait to get through the post. and I can't wait to get stuck into this game because it is a lot of fun. And I want to get the other Mystical Ninja games at some point, the N64 ones. So very, very excited to get this one. Now for a few random bits and pieces. This is a game that I didn't even see in Japan, and it was one that I was actually looking for. This is Nintendo Puzzle Collection for the GameCube. Unfortunately, I haven't got a GameCube controller here, so I can't actually play it, but I might find some footage on YouTube to show you. And the brilliant thing about this is that in the box, it not only had the game, but it also had the Game Boy link cable adapter for the GameCube, which is really cool. Because I think in this game you can plug your GBA in and transfer the puzzle games over to it, and then transfer your high scores back onto the GameCube and things like that. So really happy to have this, another Japanese GameCube game to add to the collection. And another one that never came out outside of Japan as well, which is fairly strange considering that these games did all come out, apart from Penalty Pun, which was renamed to Tetris Attack, but they could have just changed it in here. A NES game here. It's still in the adapter for the Retro Freak, because I tried this one out. This is Kickle Cubicle. I got this one for a £5. It's a really interesting little puzzle game. It looks a lot like Adventures of Lolo or that sort of game. Really nice and colourful. Kind of reminds me of the sort of basic freeware PC games that you'd get around that time, but it's still really fun. Yeah, don't have too much to say about it, but it's a nice addition to the NES collection. Now a game that I was very excited to find. This is probably the second most expensive game that I picked up. This is Parodius for the PC Engine. I want to try and get them on every system. So far I've got it on the SNES, the NES, the Sega Saturn, the PC Engine and the Game Boy. I think there's a few more to find, so I might try and find them, but this one's a brilliant port and it's almost exactly the same as the SNES one, except the caravan mode or the lollipop mode has a bit of a variety in the stage design there, so really excited to get this, another game for the PC Engine. And another game that I was really excited to find. Now before I show you this, I know it's a repro because the actual cart would be about 200 or 300 quid for the cart in the box, but I was really excited to find this. This is a game that I wanted to get in Japan, but it was crazy expensive. This is Pulseman, a game made by Game Freak, the same people who made Pokemon. This is their one and only Mega Drive game, Pulseman. It is a repro, so it doesn't work on the Retro Freak, so I'm going to have to try and find the wires for the Mega Drive to be able to play it. But it seems really nicely made. They printed a nice label on it, and it's a European style cart, so it's not like the Japanese ones with the rounded edges. So fingers crossed it will work in my Mega Drive. I'm really excited to give it a go, and I'd love to own the actual original copy of it one day, but it's just a bit out of my price range. So very excited to have Pulseman. And that's it for games that I picked up. I just want to briefly mention this website called Need That Game. They were at the event, and basically what they're doing is they're setting up a website for retro game collectors or just gamers in general. I think they do modern stuff as well. But the idea is that you can go on here and you can search for games that you're after, or you can sell games. The listing fees are cheaper than eBay, and yeah, it just looks like a really nice site. So I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go and check them out. It's called Need That Game. Really cool, and I'll link to their Twitter page as well. And two more things before I wrap this video up. There was a stall that was selling some magazines, so I picked up 2 Dreamcast magazines here. I did want to go back and get the Nintendo Magazine System ones, but by the time I went back to find them, they'd all gone. So it's really fun to read through these. I was reading through it a bit on the train on the way home. I love the Dreamcast, so it's just great to see what they were thinking about the games at the time. These are from 99 and 2000, I think. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching, as always. Don't forget to check out my Patreon if you want to see my videos early. Leave a comment in the description if you enjoyed this, if you liked what I picked up, if you think there was something that I missed from my tour that I put up the other day. Let me know as well. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.